Hello students, today in this lecture we will discuss the next poem on the receipt of my mother's picture written by William Cooper. In this lecture we will discuss the first three stanzas of the poem. Students, this is the image of the poet William Cooper. Let us now have a brief introduction to the poet William Cooper. 26 November 1731 to 25th April 1800, William Cooper was an English poet and hymnodist. One of the most popular poets of his time, Cooper changed the direction of 18th century nature poetry by writing of everyday life and scenes of the English countryside. Means before him the poets used to write about the nature poems, but William Cooper started to write about the everyday life and scenes of the English countryside. In many ways he was one of the forerunners of romantic poetry. Samuel Taylor Coleridge called him the best modern poet, whilst William Wordsworth particularly admired his poem Yardley Oak. The great poets Samuel Taylor Coleridge or S.T. Coleridge called him as the best modern poet, and William Wordsworth, who is also a great nature poet, admired his poem Yardley Oak. So William Cooper was an English poet. He was a very popular and eminent English poet who has written about the everyday life and of the English countryside. First of all, I would like to give you a brief introduction to the poem. Students, this poem titled On the Receipt of My Mother's Picture. In this poem, the poet William Cooper contains the thoughts and feelings aroused by the picture of his mother. The poet lost his mother when he was only 6-year-old child. He received his mother's picture from his cousin and composed this poem at the age of 60. He has recollected emotions of his childhood in a vivid and remarkable manner. Means, in this poem, the poet expresses his thoughts and feelings when he receives the picture of his mother from his cousin. Let us now discuss the very first stanza of the poem on the receipt of my mother's picture. The first stanza of the poem is, "Oh, that those lips had language! Life has passed with me but roughly since I heard thee last. Those lips are thine, thy own sweet smiles I see, the same that often in childhood solaced me. Voice only fails, else how distinct they say, grieve not, my child, chase all thy fears away." As we have already discussed, the poet in this poem expresses his thoughts and emotions when he lost his child at the age of 6, and after that he receives the picture of his mother. In this stanza, the poet says that, "Oh, that those lips had language! Life has passed with me but roughly since I heard thee last." In this stanza of the poem, the poet looks at his mother's picture. He thinks that those lips of his mother in the picture once used to speak. Life has passed with me. Life has been quite hard and cruel to him. To him means to the poet. Since he heard her last words from these lips. In this stanza, the poet is thinking about his mother and the lips which used to speak when she was alive. The poet thinks that his life has been hard and cruel to him since he has heard the last words from the lips of his mother. Those lips are thine, thy own sweet smiles I see, the same that often in childhood solaced me. The poet can see the sweet smiles on the lips of his mother. These smiles used to give solace. Solaced me means gave him comfort and consolation when he was child. The poet says that thy own sweet smiles I see, the same that often in childhood solaced me. The poet says that the sweet smile on the lips of his mother used to give him comfort and consolation when he was child. Voice only fails, else how distinct they say. Grieve not, my child, chase all thy fears away. The picture has no voice. Voice only fails means the picture has no voice. The picture of his mother has no voice, but the lips seem to speak very kind and very gentle words into the ears of the poet. They seem to tell him not to feel sad and to drive away all the fears from his mind. Grieve not. Grieve means not to feel sad. It seems as if the lips of his mother in that picture uh, are telling him not to feel sad and to drive away all the fears from his mind. The words of the mother are clearly audible to the poet. Audible means the poet can hear the words from the lips of his mother in the picture. He can hear them with his mind's ears. So, let us now discuss the second stanza of the poem. The meek intelligence of those dear eyes, blessed be the art that can immortalize, the art that baffles time's tyrannic claim to quench it here, shines on me still the same. In this stanza, the poet again is looking at his mother's picture, which he has received from his cousin. The picture shows the brilliant and the very kind looking eyes of his mother. Those eyes are very close, very dear to the poet because those are the eyes of his mother. Blessed be the art that can immortalize. They seem to be shining and showering her blessings upon him. Means the eyes of his mother seem to be shining and blessing him and showering her blessings upon the poet. The art that baffles time's tyrannic claim to quench it here shines on me still the same. The poet is all praise for the art of the painter who has made his mother immortal. Means in this stanza, the poet is praising the art of that painter who has painted his mother's picture and made his mother immortal. Time is a great tyrant. It boasts of having the power to destroy everything, but the art of the painter has proved false all claims of time. The picture has made the mother immortal. It has preserved the beauty of her lips and eyes. The lips seem to be speaking, and the eyes are bright and shining. Thus, time has failed to destroy them. The art of the painter has thrown dust into the eyes of time. Means by painting the picture of his mother, the artist or the painter has thrown dust into the eyes of time. The poet points out a great universal truth: life is mortal, but art is immortal because it makes life immortal. In this poem, in this stanza, the poet points out at the great universal truth. Universal means related to whole world. In this stanza of the poem, the poet is talking about the universal truth. He says that life is mortal. Mortal means something which can come to an end. He says that life is mortal means life can come to an end when a person dies, but according to him, art is immortal because it makes life immortal. Means he wants to say, the poet wants to say that by portraying the picture of his mother, the painter has made his mother immortal, who is actually dead. So this it is the second stanza, students. Let us now discuss the third stanza of this poem. Faithful remembrance of one so dear, O welcome guest, though unexpected here, who bidst me honor with an artless song, affectionate a mother lost so long. I will obey not willingly alone, but gladly, as as the precept were her own, and while that face renews my filial grief, fancy shall weave a charm for my relief, shall steep me in Elysian reverie, a momentary dream that thou art she. So, this is the third stanza of the poem. The picture of the poet's mother brings back the sweet memories of the poet's dear mother. Means by looking at at the picture of his mother, the poet is reminded of the sweet memories related to his mother. She has come unexpectedly as a welcome guest. She seems to tell him to write a simple song in her honor. Oh, welcome guest, though unexpected here. He says that she has come unexpectedly as a welcome guest to his house, who bids me honor with an artless song. It seems that his mother tells him to write a simple song in her honor. He will certainly honor her wishes most willingly and happily. He lost that affectionate mother so long ago. Affectionate a mother lost so long. I will obey not willingly alone. He says that he lost his affectionate mother, his loving mother, so long ago. He will certainly do what she used to teach him to do. He will obey, he will follow whatever she has asked him to do, but gladly as the precept were her own, and while that face renews my filial grief, fancy shall weave a charm for my relief. While looking at her face in the picture, the heart of the poet is filled with grief. He feels unhappy when he looks at the picture of his mother. Fancy shall weave a charm for my relief. Fancy. Fancy means imagination. His imagination will give him help and relief by building, weaving a charm means by building a paradise of his dreams. His mind is lost in the happy dreams of his mother. Fancy shall weave a charm for my relief, shall steep me in Alcyon reverie. Reverie means daydreaming, a momentary dream that thou art she. The poet says that his imagination will give him relief, and by building a paradise, a heaven of his dreams, his mind is lost in the happy dreams related to his mother. So, tomorrow we will continue with our next lecture, students. Thank you very much.